After caring for my husband through a year-long depression, cooking, driving him to therapy, holding him during panic attacks, he forgot my birthday. When I gently reminded him, he said, "Can you not make me feel worse?" His mother called later that day and said, "You need to lower your expectations. He's been through a lot." I ate grocery store cake alone on the porch. The candle fell over in the wind. A week later, he asked me why I seemed so cold lately. When I first met Daniel, he was the kind of man who remembered everything. He remembered my favorite flower, daisies, my favorite drink, lemonade with a little too much sugar, even my stupid allergies, cats, dust, strawberries. He was thoughtful without trying. The kind of guy who made you feel seen. We got married in Tulsa, Oklahoma, about 6 years ago. Bought a little brick house with a yard, just big enough for a dog we kept saying we'd get, but never did. For a while, it was good. It was real. He'd kiss me on the forehead every morning. He'd call on his lunch break just to say hi. We weren't flashy, but we were steady. Then, about a year and a half ago, something shifted. Daniel's job started getting to him. Stress built up. His best friend moved away. His dad got sick. It was like one hit after another, and he just caved in. He stopped smiling. Stopped laughing. Stopped living, really. I told myself it was just a rough patch. Everybody goes through them. I started doing everything. Grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, laundry, paying the bills, walking the dog we eventually adopted, a little mutt named Scout, fixing the car when it broke down, calling in the prescriptions when he forgot. When he said he couldn't drive to therapy because he didn't trust himself not to crash the car, I drove him. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I left work early, sat in the parking lot, waited while he had his session, then drove him home while he stared blankly out the window. At night, when he had panic attacks, I sat up holding him, whispering, "You're okay, you're safe," until he fell asleep. I gave everything. And I told myself, this is love. This is what you do. Even when my friends started dropping hints, "You okay, girl? You don't seem like yourself." Even when my mom said, "You look tired all the time," I brushed it off. They didn't understand. Daniel needed me. March 9th. My birthday. I didn't expect much. Honestly, after the year we had, I didn't expect anything. But deep down, a small part of me still hoped. I woke up to the sound of the TV. Daniel was already in the living room, wrapped up in the old blue blanket, watching Seinfeld reruns and scrolling on his phone. No happy birthday. No hug. Not even a nod. I made myself coffee. I made him breakfast too, eggs, toast, bacon, like he liked. He didn't even look up. Just mumbled thanks, with his eyes still glued to the screen. All morning, I waited for him to realize. Nothing. Around 2 p.m., I finally broke. I went to the store and bought myself a small cake, one of those sad little grocery store ones with too much icing and no real flavor. I bought a single candle too, because somehow, not buying it felt even sadder. Back home, I sat outside on the porch swing, staring at the empty street, the bare trees. When Daniel finally wandered out to get something from the garage, I said it as lightly as I could. "Hey, just so you know, it's my birthday today." He froze for a second. I saw it. The realization hit. But instead of saying, "Oh my God, I'm sorry," or even "Happy birthday," he rolled his eyes, groaned, and said, "Can you not make me feel worse right now?" Like I had ruined his day. I didn't even respond. I just went back to the porch. The wind was picking up. It was cold, even though spring was supposed to be close. I lit the candle, watched it flicker, then topple over into the frosting before I could even blow it out. It felt stupid, childish, pathetic. I ate a piece of the cake alone while Daniel stayed inside, probably still watching TV, still scrolling TikTok, still forgetting the woman who sat outside, trying not to cry. That night, his mom called. I was cleaning up the kitchen when the phone rang. I should have let it go to voicemail, but old habits die hard. The second I said, hello, she started in, you need to lower your expectations. Daniel's been through a lot. You have no idea how hard this has been on him. No happy birthday. No how are you holding up? Just telling me I should be grateful he hadn't put a gun to his head. That's the bar I was supposed to live under now. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just said, okay, and hung up. Daniel didn't even ask who it was. A week later, he finally noticed something was off. I wasn't asking him if he wanted dinner. I wasn't reminding him to take his meds. I wasn't holding him during panic attacks anymore. I was distant, numb, and he had the nerve to ask me, why are you being so cold lately? Like he was the victim. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw plates at the wall. I wanted to drag him out onto that porch and show him the candle that blew over in the wind, the cake that sat half-eaten on a paper plate, the ashes of everything I had left inside me. But I didn't. I just said, I'm tired. And he nodded like he understood. He didn't. I stopped doing all the little things. I let dishes pile up. I let laundry sit wet in the washer. I stopped texting him during the day to check in. And somehow, Daniel started improving. He showered. He cooked his own meals. He scheduled his own therapy. It hit me like a punch to the gut. He didn't need me. He needed someone to break his fall until he could stand again. And now that he could, I was just extra weight. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. I quietly opened a new bank account. I set up a P.O. box. I started socking away little bits of money, extra shifts at work, selling some of my old clothes online, picking up freelance jobs where I could. I found a small one-bedroom apartment across town. Nothing fancy. Barely enough room for Scout and me. But it would be mine. I packed slowly. A sweater here. A book there. Little things Daniel wouldn't notice missing. By the time I signed the lease, I was ready. One morning, over coffee, I told him, I'm leaving. He stared at me like I'd slapped him. Leaving where? I slid the divorce papers across the table. For good. He cried. He begged. He said he was just starting to feel okay again because of me. He said I was cruel for abandoning him after everything. I said I didn't abandon you. I abandoned myself. I'm just taking her back. I packed my last box while he sat on the porch swing, staring into the street. The same porch where I ate my birthday cake alone. Moving into that little apartment felt like being dropped into a new life without a map. The first few days were rough. Scout whined all night. I kept reaching for things I didn't have. My favorite mug, the fuzzy blanket from the couch, the charger I forgot to grab. I had to buy a used mattress off Facebook Marketplace and slept on the floor for a week. But even with all that, there was something else, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. I could breathe without waiting for the other shoe to drop. I could turn on the TV without worrying if the noise would set him off. I could cook dinner without watching someone pick at their plate like it was a punishment. It was peace. Not perfect. Not easy. But it was mine. Daniel didn't handle it well. At first, he flooded my phone with texts. Long, messy paragraphs. I can't do this without you. You're my best friend. I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. You're heartless. Then he swung the other way. You never really loved me. You just want to run away when things get hard. Good luck finding someone else who puts up with you. I didn't respond. Not once. Then he started calling my friends. My mom. Even my boss at the dental office. He told them I was unstable. Said I had abandonment issues. Said he was worried I might hurt myself. It was manipulative. And it almost worked. My boss pulled me into her office one day after work. Closed the door. Sat me down. Is everything okay at home? She asked gently. I realized then just how deep Daniel's claws still were. About 3 weeks after I moved out, I came home from work and found Daniel sitting on the steps outside my apartment. He looked awful. Unshaven. Red eyes. old hoodie he used to wear when he was at his worst. I should have called the police. I should have turned around and driven away. Instead, stupid me, I walked right up. "What are you doing here, Daniel?" I asked, keeping my voice flat. He held up a plastic grocery bag. "I brought you dinner," he said. Like that erased everything. "You probably haven't been eating right." Like I was the broken one. I didn't move. I didn't touch the bag. "Go home, Daniel," I said. His face twisted, like a little kid being told no for the first time. "Please," he whispered. "Let's just talk. I have nothing left to say." For a second, I thought he might cry. For a second, I thought I might. But then something in him snapped. He threw the bag down at my feet, food spilling onto the sidewalk. "You'll regret this," he hissed. "You're nothing without me." And he stormed off. Scout barked from inside, pawing at the door. I bent down, picking up the mess he left behind. A smashed container of spaghetti, a tipped-over soda can, a crumpled napkin with my name scribbled on it. For some reason, that napkin hurt more than anything else. It didn't end there. The next day, I woke up to a flat tire. A week later, someone keyed my car at the grocery store. My neighbor said they saw Daniel lurking around the parking lot one night, but when I called the cops, they said without proof, there wasn't much they could do. I felt like I was living with a target on my back. And the worst part? Part of me still wanted to believe he wasn't doing it. That the man I loved wouldn't stoop that low. But love doesn't make people better. It just makes you blind. I tried to move on. I really did. I started going to a support group once a week. Mostly women. Mostly tired, heavy-eyed women like me who had given everything and got nothing back. We sat in a church basement that smelled like old coffee and mildew and told each other pieces of the truth. It helped. A little. Work got easier too. My boss apologized for pulling me into that awkward meeting. Turns out Daniel had called the office again, but this time she told him never to contact the building again or she'd file a harassment report. It gave me a little bit of strength back. A little bit of my old self. But Daniel wasn't done. It started small. An email here. A text from an unknown number there. I blocked every account, every burner phone, every fake email. Then one night, I came home and found a manila envelope taped to my door. Inside were photos. Photos of me. At work. At the gas station. Walking Scout around the block. Nothing obscene. Nothing illegal. Just photos that told me, I see you. I know where you are. My stomach dropped. I called the police again, and this time, they took it a little more seriously. They advised me to change my locks, get cameras, document everything. I spent my savings, everything I had managed to stash away, on a security system and a bigger deadbolt. Scout started barking at shadows. I started sleeping with a baseball bat by my bed. A month later, Daniel's mother called me again. I hadn't heard from her since the birthday night disaster. She sounded frantic. "You have to help him," she cried. "He's getting worse. He won't eat. He's saying crazy things. He said if he can't have you, nobody will." The words hit me like a slap. If he can't have me, nobody will. I hung up without saying a word. I knew what came next. I had heard enough stories in the group. I knew how ugly this could get. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor next to Scout, listening to every creak of the old apartment building, waiting. Nothing happened. But the next morning, I found a dead bird on my doorstep. I called the police again. Filed another report. Nothing they could really do, they said. No cameras caught who left it. No proof it was Daniel. Just keep a record and stay vigilant. I felt like I was losing my mind. At work, I started jumping at every loud noise. At home, I triple-checked every lock. I barely ate. I barely slept. Scout wouldn't leave my side. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined him outside, watching, waiting, and then he found another way to hurt me. Scout got sick. Really sick. Vomiting, diarrhea, Wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink. I rushed him to the vet. The bill wiped out the last of my savings. They said it looked like he had been poisoned, but they couldn't be sure. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to even think it. But part of me knew. Scout pulled through. Barely. But I didn't. Something inside me finally snapped. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. This was war. After Scout got sick, I realized two things. 1, Daniel wasn't going to stop. 2, waiting for someone to save me wasn't going to work. I sat at my tiny kitchen table all night, staring at the old wooden bat I kept by the door. Scout slept at my feet, his breathing shallow but steady. I thought about who I had become. Quiet. Small. Scared. That wasn't me. That wasn't going to be me. Not anymore. I started with a lawyer. Turns out, I should have gone to one a lot sooner. The photos. The dead bird. The threatening phone calls. The vet report. Even though the police couldn't act on it, my lawyer could. She helped me file for a restraining order. Helped me draft an official harassment complaint. She also told me something I didn't know. If Daniel kept going, he could face criminal charges. Real ones. Ones that would stick. I sat there in her office, holding that stack of paperwork, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Power. But I didn't stop there. No. Daniel's mother had protected him for too long. His friends had believed his sob stories for too long. So I wrote everything down. The year I spent holding him up. The birthday he forgot. The nights I held him through panic attacks while he slept through my tears. The way he stalked me, threatened me, poisoned my dog. I wrote it all out in a long, brutal post on Facebook. I didn't name-call. I didn't rant. I just told the truth. Line by line. Day by day. Year by year. Then I hit post. And the fire spread. Some of our old friends reached out. Some apologized. Some didn't. Daniel's own boss at the fancy tech company he worked for saw the post. And apparently, they didn't like having an employee accused of stalking, harassment, and animal cruelty. Daniel lost his job within a week. I found out because he showed up at my apartment again. This time, he wasn't crying. He was furious. He pounded on the door, shouting, "You ruined my life. You crazy bitch. You'll pay for this." Scout barked like mad. I backed into the kitchen, shaking, reaching for the phone. But before I could even dial, flashing blue and red lights filled the street. 2 squad cars. Sirens. Neighbors peeking through blinds. The cops tackled him before he even made it up the steps. Daniel was screaming, cussing, fighting the whole time. Spit flying from his mouth. They found a knife in his jacket pocket. It wasn't just a restraining order violation anymore. It was attempted assault. Criminal threats. Carrying a concealed weapon without a permit. They dragged him away in cuffs, kicking and yelling. I stood in the doorway, watching it happen. Watching the man I had loved, the man I had fought for, disappear into the back of a squad car. And I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. Later, sitting in the quiet, I realized something. I had made mistakes too. I stayed too long. I ignored too many red flags. I let love turn into martyrdom. I thought saving someone else meant destroying myself. That was on me. I looked down at Scout, sleeping by the couch, and whispered, "Never again." Daniel ended up taking a plea deal. He got probation, mandatory therapy, a fine he couldn't afford to pay. He moved back in with his mother. Last I heard, he's still there. Still blaming everyone but himself. I don't check his social media anymore. I don't care. I'm not perfect. Some days I still feel guilty. Some nights I still wake up reaching for a man who doesn't exist anymore. But every morning when I walk Scout down the quiet street, when I lock my door behind me and know I'm safe, I know I made the right choice. I saved myself. And nobody will ever take that from me again.